Hi,
Hi,
how are you?
how are you?
Okay.
Hi, hi everyone. This is Dauda Campus. I'm a task team member, and I'm today here with Lexa to just ask a few questions about her upcoming summer workshop, professional practices. If you want to talk a little about yourself and the class, Lexa, feel free to jump in.
Sure. My name's Lexa Walsh. I'm an artist and experience maker, and I work as a professional artist and have been teaching at TAS. First, I was a member of the TAS community, and then have been teaching for a couple of years this class.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that's the cool thing about TAS is you are both student and teacher. We are all one, sharing our stuff. Um, so this is a professional practice class coming from a really DIY perspective. That is from my background is in working with um, anarchists and other collective organizations and making things happen from the ground up and doing a lot of community projects. So I definitely approach this from that perspective. Like we do not have the art worlds that we necessarily want or fit into, so let's make
Mm-hmm.
them and also access these other ones and see where we fit in.
Yes, I totally agree with you because it feels like I'm based in Brazil and there are a lot of art worlds, even like the online art sphere as we are speaking right now. But I wanted to ask you, is this class like destined to anyone? Like, do you prefer any artists working with specific mediums, different career stages? How do you feel about that?
Um, it's definitely open for people who are committed to a kind of professional approach to their art practice, so not for somebody who's just doing it as a hobby. However, any medium is welcome, even musicians and writers. I mean, I am a visual artist mostly. I'm also a musician, but so I focus mostly on visual art resources. But a lot of the resources are virtually the same for visual artists, musicians, writers, dancers, what have you.
Mhm.
And I also think it's appropriate for emerging and mid-career artists. But if you already have a gallery that represents you, I'm not going to help you probably unless you
Uh-huh.
unless you want to take it in a different direction.
Yes, yes. Unless you want to pivot. But I would say that I understand what you said about hobbyists, but what about people who are hobbyists now, but they're wanting to kind of grow their practice is more of a full-time thing for them.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, just because you are not full time does not make you a hobbyist. Um,
Uh-huh.
and we're going to talk about that, about how to have a sustainable practice within our side hustles, because 99% of us need to have side hustles, and that's okay. It's just,
Yes. Yes, that's true. I think all most artists I know have part-time jobs, so I can vouch for that. I was wondering on that note if you would like to share one or two, we don't want to spoil the class, but one or two strategies that you think are doable and easier to do on terms of like you're just starting to get your work out there and you want to grow your just artist experience, artist life in a way.
I think identifying that there are so many resources and opportunities out there for artists,
Mhm.
finding out where they are, and then trying to find the ones that are aligned with your values and that are like at the same level as you. So um, doing a lot of research and where to do that research and really important questions to ask, like, is this an opportunity that is right? Should I apply to it? Is it likely that they are going to want somebody like me? I,
Mhm.
I think that we forget and we get excited and just apply to a bunch of things and don't
Uh-huh.
think about, like, actually, is this really what I want? Do I actually agree with the politics of this place? Um, do they claim they take all work, but they only show paintings, and I make sculpture? Like, you know,
Mhm.
these are all things
Yeah.
that you are all these organizations are not really that good at promoting themselves honestly.
Mhm.
You know, they promote themselves in a kind of with marketing speak, and so it's really hard to find out actually what's going on there. So I think
Mhm.
help you with a lot of tools about
Yes,
locating,
that's super helpful. So,
applying. Oh, that's great.
yes, because I feel like I've been an artist for 5 years now. It feels like I'm still getting started in different ways, but even like you were saying, trying to figure out what places are best for you and most accommodating to your art. And I also think that, for example, once you start getting opportunities in and getting like approvals, you want to do it all, but having someone else where you can just, is this a good fit for me? I'm having doubts, I'm having questions. What do you think of this? It's super helpful because you can say no, but you don't feel like it.
And putting your best foot forward, because that's all you have control over. You have
Yeah.
control over how you present yourself. It takes a lot of work, and it
Mhm.
takes a community of people to help see how you're presenting
Mhm.
yourself. But then all you can do is do it, and then it's no longer up to you. So it's another thing about building resilience in this open call economy.
Yes,
And
that's for sure.
how important it is to rely on your community, um, for not only helping with that, but then for opportunities themselves, because that's the
Mhm.
beautiful thing. As you get out there more, the best things happen from the relationships that you build honestly.
Yes. Yes, yes, to be honest. And on that note, I was wondering, so like you said in the beginning, before we enter the questions, how TAS has this community aspect to it, where you have been here for a long time. I've been here since 2021 now. And I was wondering how the communal aspect of the class would help the students, because I feel like that's so unique, especially here because it's very global and you get a lot of perspectives. But I wanted to hear from you as like the
Yeah.
instructor.
Well, so TAS is a multi-generational international community. So and filled with artists from at various points in their careers. So we all come together and we all give feedback on each other's presentations and work, and not only in the class but also outside of the class. TAS has all these incredible things like studio visits and workshopping and artist talks and Instagram
Yeah.
Live, various things. So it has a ton of resources within the community, but in this class we will be hearing each other's perspectives from, because I think it's important, we especially if we apply to international opportunities, like how
Mhm.
are we presenting ourselves as an American versus a Brazilian, you know for this opportunity in Turkey. And
Yes.
and how do things work? I know how they work here, and I know how they work in places where I have done projects, which is many places, but I don't know everything.
Yeah.
So
Yes. And I can think of it even the collaboratory aspect of it. Like I know I in other classes I've taken a test, made friendships, made connections, and then we try and make something together, even like outside of class, and that's something that I think is super cool too.
yeah, there have been collaborations that have come out of past relationships and
Yes, yes.
friendships and probably romances.
Yes, I would like to see that. Yeah, so I think my last question for you would be what challenges you think are more prevalent in the artists that attend your class and how the workshop helps address some of them? Not, you don't need to deep too deep about it, but just like we won't solve the art
Yeah.
world problems, but how can we help?
Well, the art worlds are not really great for anybody who's not um, in the club of them. So having the confidence to feel like you can locate and enter, find and create these art worlds, I think is super important. Um, and my experience and our collective experiences helps us with that. Um, I think we have a fear of failure all the time. I mean, what other careers do people have where they're being judged so much? You know,
Yes.
um, and this is particularly true of my generation because I am a pre-internet generation. So we were being judged long before Instagram. But so to help with identifying that we can only do what we can do, but if we don't do anything, nobody's going to see it. And if you don't get judged, if you don't put yourself out there to be judged, then you're not going to have the opportunities. Just
Yes.
and unfortunately, in the United States or elsewhere, in your art education, you're just taught that somebody's going to just come and pick you up and put you on a pedestal, and it just doesn't happen that way for 99% of us. So we're going to make it happen together.
Yes, yes, I love that. And that's true. I think most people don't have that out of body experience almost of being like becoming a huge success overnight in any career, but especially in a career in the arts. And I feel like as artists ourselves, we have got to learn to survive in the industry, to grow that thick skin. And I feel that Taz at least is a space where you can be a little bit more vulnerable and dip your toes into it until you are ready to just put yourself out there in a way that you might feel less comfortable doing. So I think that's great.
Thanks.
Yes. So those were all the questions I had. I know we are almost at the end because we had 15 minutes. Is there anything you want to add? Or
I'll just go over it's. I know that this sounds like I'm going to reel through a real fast but intense list of the things that we're going to cover in this class.
that's good.
So we're going to cover the necessity and power of community and how to identify it, goal setting in a very open-minded way, and we are going to identify the ways that we can be different art worlds and what different art worlds there are, how to get opportunities and where to find them, how to do CVs, open calls, and writing your artist statements versus project statements versus elevator pitches versus bios, and even touching on grant writing, and documentation, websites, promotion, and finally budgets and pricing. So it's a lot. Plus you'll get everybody who takes the class gets worksheets to go along with it, so they can carry the work with them to work on it. You know, it's intense, but also
as it should be. Yes. Yes, I love that. And for those of you watching now, this will be recorded and on the task feed, but class registrations end next week, and class will start this month still, I believe. So run to get your applications in. And thank you, Lexa, for taking the time. It was wonderful. Yes. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Take care.